Hello again everybody and welcome back to Command Modern Air Naval Operations, and I'm taking on a different scenario today. This one is called Red Flag 2017. It's a scenario by Tomcat84 that is obviously a red flag set in the very near future. So all the systems and all the aircraft we're going to be employing right here are very new, very capable, but we're up against a very determined enemy at the same time. So just to give an overview, let me zoom out on the map real quick so you can see where we're at. We're on the Nevada Test and Training Range in the western US, and you can see the area that we have to play in here. The red outlined box is the extent of the airspace that we have available. So we'll have everything going on in this scenario within the non-shaded portion that you can see here. That's the extent of the range airspace that we have to use. Now, we have a line right here, and this is the forward line of troops. So everything to the right is our territory, everything to the left is enemy territory. Now, our forces are going to be staging out of Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, and we also have some assets at Creech Air Force Base just up the road. Well, I say just up the road, it's about a 40-minute drive up to the northwest of Nellis at Creech, Indian Springs, Nevada. Now, the enemy forces are going to be staged up here on the western side of the range. We'll look at all this in detail as we get going here. Now, before I really get down in the weeds in this mission briefing and get into the details of planning these missions, let me just take a real quick opportunity to walk you through the initial stages of what I have planned, just my first move. So you'll have an idea of what's coming in the rest of the series, and then I'll talk a little bit about what you can expect in general as we get going. But what's going to happen here is I'm going to have a whole lot of enemy aircraft to overcome, holding out here, defending the target areas that are going to be down here. One set of targets to the north, one set of targets to the south. Now I'm going to have all the aircraft that I intend to employ holding up here in a little a big marshalling area, because I have a lot of aircraft. And then when I'm ready to execute on the mission, I'm going to begin by just flooding the area with as many decoys as I can. I'm going to have some aircraft configured with expendable decoys I'll be able to push in. I'm going to follow that up immediately with my 5th generation fighters, my F-22s, to go in there and hopefully, as undetected as possible, get in there relatively close and be able to just wipe out whatever air defenses, airborne air defenses that is, that are present, and then follow that up immediately with some suppression of enemy air defenses, or hopefully destruction of enemy air defenses that are going to come in the confusion, launch as many missiles in there on those targets and take out as many of those air defenses as I possibly can. So that's going to be my opening move. And I guess to describe what you can expect from these videos, I'm not sure. I've never actually recorded a complex scenario of this nature. I'm going to try as much as I can to have just a view like this running at all times, and then if I just have to dig into something and to start to research things or really kind of step back and think about what's going on, I'll just leave this running but at an increased speed so that you can still see what's going on as I'm just off doing other stuff and researching and thinking. And I'll just kind of have the left side of the screen here dedicated to the message log and also any database entries that I have up, or if I happen to bring up Wikipedia or Google Maps or something, I'll just have it over here on the left so that you can then still follow the action somewhat on the right side, even though I might not be describing exactly what's there. Now, the first couple, maybe 2 or 3 videos of this series are going to be dedicated to the overview, kind of like I just really scratched the surface on just then. It's going to take me a while to build the missions. It's going to take me a while to decide what to get airborne in what order. Now, getting into the description, I won't read all of this word for word, but this is set up to reflect very accurately a typical red flag mission. It's the night mission. It is taking off or starting at 2000, so there's usually sort of a day go and a night go, this one being the night mission. We have multiple aircraft at our disposal. You can see an entire list right here, and we'll get into more detail on these as we start to set up some flights and some strike packages and get them in there doing what we want to do. But we have the majority of the forces are U.S. Air Force. We have some U.S. Navy assets, Royal Air Force, and also the Australian Air Force providing assets here. And each flight or each group of aircraft that we have is going to, for the purposes of this scenario, have a training objective. For example, Venom Flight, it's 8 RAF Typhoons, and they, even though they might have the loadout and the capability to do some other tasks, I'm going to stick with the briefing here and stick with the sort of the scenario rules and only employ like this one on OCA or interdiction taskings. Same thing for this one. Okay, Phoenix Flight, I have some EA-18Gs who could do a lot of different things. but I'm only going to use them for seed. So that's the guideline. That actually helps me out when it comes to settling on a plan. So the rest of the scenario description here just gives some recommendations for how to set this up. It recommends that I have the special messages and the message settings turned on, that I'll get notifications for certain events. It also recommends that I have RTV1 Winchester off, and I'll verify that. I think that's already how it's set up in the default settings. Now let's get into a little bit more detail and get into the side briefing. So we're acting as the Blue Air Mission Commander, so we're going to have overall control of everything that happens on the blue side. And my task is to strike several target complexes in red land while minimizing blue losses. And red land just referring to the enemy location over here to the west of the FIBA. It says that CSAR combat search and rescue tasking might develop if blue losses do occur. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I haven't played through this long enough to see if this actually works the way that I think, but I think if certain events are met, if I essentially lose enough aircraft, then an event is going to fire, and then I'm going to have to go in and coordinate a search and rescue effort. And we'll see if we get to that and how far in. I don't have to do everything that the briefing is going to tell us to do. There's a lot of stuff here. It's very complex. In timeline, I have 5 hours to carry out the mission. And another guideline I'm going to follow is that all aircraft can only fly one sortie, which is exactly how it works for a red flag. You only get one sortie. So that means I'm going to have to take care and be very, very wise in the way that I allocate my resources, so I don't waste aircraft in areas that I don't necessarily need them. Now the target. All target complexes are on the Nellis Ranges and are roughly divided into a northern and southern target area. Both are heavily defended, and we are the first strike against this nation, so their air defenses are going to be set up, and we're not going to have anybody else going in there and softening things up. So that's going to be part of what we plan around here. Now these pre-planned targets contain several DPIs, desired point of impacts, of which as many as possible should be hit. Most of these are part of the leadership, so HQs, palaces, comm nodes, and we're also looking to further degrade the IAS, Integrated Air Defense System, by targeting SAMs, radars, and an air base. So all the red DPIs that I see in the target area are going to be valid, but I need to also be wary of civilian collateral damage. I'm going to have some buildings in there close to some of the intended targets that could get damaged, so I'll have to, in those cases, be wise about the weapons that I allocate to those targets so I don't have any collateral damage. Now it tells us specifically here that we have some bunkers to take care of. So we have an Air Defense HQ, an Air Force HQ, and an Army HQ bunker. And these I'm going to need to take out just due to the nature of the target. Take them out with B-2s and GBU-57, massive ordnance penetrators, just remarkable weapons that we'll look at into some detail once we start to set up that mission. Now the threat that I'm up against, and I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and start the simulation. I'm just going to have it running in real time, and you can see the threats start to pop up. So we'll get in there. There's the northern target area, there's the southern target area, along with its radars and air defenses. Now we start to have some bogeys show up, and those bogeys are going to start to get classified. And yeah, we'll look at exactly what the threat is here in just a bit. We have plenty of time to get this set up. So the threat. There are several air threats in today's mission, as well as several ground threats. So 3 airfields up there that we're going to be concerned with. We have East Goldfield Airfield, which is down here. It's just an airfield target down here in the southern target area. And we also have the Yucca Flats, or the Yucca Airfield, and also Tonopah. Now, the only one that is a target is East Goldfield Airfield, and this is just a big patch of graded dirt in the desert with some targets on it set up to look like an airfield. But yeah, we're going to treat it as if it's a real thing, and we'll definitely task a mission of some sort against it. Now, the ground threat consists of a large number of advanced systems, and we'll get into some specifics actually right here. Okay, an enemy order of battle. Now, from the north, we're expecting 20 to 30 Sukhoi 30 MKM Flanker Gs. These are very, very advanced version of the Flanker. We'll look at them in detail. Known to be armed with AA-12s and Archers, so this is a huge threat. The AA-12 is a very, very capable missile, analogous to the AIM-120 AMRAAM on the blue side in this scenario, so something to take into account. Now, 30 to 40 Sukhoi 27S Flanker Bs, and I mean, that's a huge number of aircraft that we're up against, so boy, we'll see how this goes, and expected to be armed with a mix of AA-10A and 10Cs and Archers. Less capable, but still a legitimate threat. Now, in the center, we're expecting 10 to 15 MiG-29 Fulcrum Charlies, again with AA-12 adders. And then from the south, we're going to have MiG-29 M2 Fulcrum Charlies, as we have another contact pop up with AA-12s, MiG-25 Foxbats with AA-6s, older style aircraft, and then another 30 to 35 MiG-29 Fulcrum Alphas. So, what'll happen here, I mean, just as happens during a real red flag, is that, okay, we have all these air threats that are up right now. Okay, we go in there and we just clean them out. What would happen is they would just go back, fly out to a respawn point, and then come right back in. So we're going to have a constant air threat out here. I just don't think that we have the assets available to take out, you know, over 100 very, very capable fighters. So what we're going to have to do is be very, very coordinated in the way that we go in there. So go in, push them back as much as we can, do what we need to do, and then get out, because they're going to have reinforcements coming as we get into the mission. So, enemy missile order of battle. We have an SA-20 Gargoyle sight, the most capable air defense system on Redland here, and we'll look at all these as we get into the mission and start to think about how to take them out. SA-10 sights, SA-2 sights, Hawk sights, SA-3, SA-17, SA-11, the full gamut of a Soviet and Russian style weaponry. Well, to top it off, we have some Rolands in there that are sort of like a French export, I believe, and the Crotal engine. I'm not familiar with this system right here. Well, you know, it's a good opportunity to learn as we get going. So, threat and target area. Now, you can see the same thing over here on the actual map, but the north area is going to be defended by Hawk and SA-26. Southern area defended by SA-20, SA-2, SA-19, and then just a number of other systems just out there at random. This is a very, very tough mission. Okay, tactics, completely up to me, okay? But I do have to keep in mind that airspace-wise, the container around Groom Lake is off limits, and we also have another no-fly area up here over Tonopah, the Tonopah Test Range airfield itself. So these areas are going to be off limits, and that's going to limit us really to just one avenue of approach. We're coming in from the northeast, no matter what we do here. So that simplifies planning, but it does limit us in some of the stuff that we can do to make this a little bit easier, as we'll look at here as we get into it. Now, looking at the assets that we have available, we have a number of aircraft, F-18s, F-16 CJs, even a B-52 up there for SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses. We have some offensive counter-air aircraft, F-18Fs, Typhoons, F-22s, 10 of them, and some F-15Cs for taking out and eliminating the air threat as much as we possibly can. We have some air interdiction assets identified as the Typhoons. We have some Tornado GR4 Alphas, F-18s, F-35s. We get to play with those here in this scenario. B model and A model. So both the Marines and the Air Force version of the F-35. We have some B-2s, B-52s, just if the Air Force has it, you name it, it's here. And then for support, we have some tankers, we have some assets for combat search and rescue, including some A-10s to act as a Sandy, kind of an overall command and control for any combat and search and rescue mission. We have J-Stars, AWACS aircraft, and then a pretty good smattering of ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance type aircraft, including some RPAs, remotely piloted aircraft out of Creech Air Force Base. Okay, then targeting priorities is going to have us prioritize the HQ bunkers. Those are the targets that I'll need to take out with the massive ordnance penetrators, the MOPS off of B2s, any Illusion 62 trying to escape Redland. I think that was something I missed up here. Yeah, for dynamic targeting, it's possible that the head of Redland, or the great spiritual leader of Redland, is going to try to escape in an Illusion 62. So if I see an Illusion 62 get airborne at any point, I need to think about going in and taking it out. So we have an SA-20 site that's a definite target that I'm going to be trying to take out. I don't think it's popped up yet. I just have the Tall King. Yeah, there it is. The SA-20 site that we're going to be taking out is, or at least one of them, the only one that I know of is right here to the south in these targets. Any SA-10s I encounter, and then just miscellaneous buildings of the headquarters variety, the airfield, palaces, and any modern early warning radar. So a diverse target list. Hopefully I've got enough assets to take these out. and then just secondary targets, anything that's left over, essentially, as a red target on the map. Now we have some more details right here that are going to help us out when it comes to setting these missions up. But for now, let me go ahead and get rid of the side briefing. We'll definitely be coming back to it at some point and looking at it in a little bit more detail as we start to set some of these missions up. And I'll tell you what, let me take a break here. We'll come back next time and start to get some aircraft airborne, start to have some closer looks at the threat and how we intend to deal with it, and start to get some missions and some strike packages built in preparation for going in there and trying to take out some of these targets. So if this looks interesting to you and you want to see me press on with this and other scenarios like this, the best thing you can do for me is leave a like on the video. That does help me out a great deal by helping these videos show up in the YouTube search results and letting other people know that it's worth watching. And also leave a comment. I would love to hear what you think about this and any recommendations or successes or failures you've had with this or other scenarios. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.